Take a step back, get excited because all you can see is the bottom of the net. Yes, Yuki is ecstatic. Yuki Kawamura, the NBA's shortest player and point guard, is demonstrating that height is irrelevant when your goals are big and your abilities are even greater. Standing at only 173K, this Japanese sensation made history in addition to playing basketball, and the Washington Wizards had a front row seat to watch as his incredible speed, lightning agility, and next-level basketball IQ made their defense look As you can see, the Washington refs weren't sure if the clueless statues touched the ball, so we'll call it a jump ball. Then there was that incredible back-of-the-back pass that lit up social media in a league full of giants. Kawamura is the quintessential underdog, turning the tide and demonstrating to everyone that skill and hard work will always triumph against the Wizards. Yes, they're still figuring out what occurred. Yuki takes a step back. A rebound after the first NBA basket, burned November 8, 2024. Into your memory, because that was the night the Memphis Grizzlies humiliated the Washington Wizards 128-4. But let's face it, this was more than just a defeat. It was a complete humiliation delivered by a 5'8" lightning bolt of a player who embarrassed the team. When he had his chance last night and made his first shot, Washington looked like a group of clueless spectators, and his teammates started yelling about how much they enjoyed playing with them. You could sense something special was building as soon as Yuki Kawamura took the court. And then, in the blink of an eye, he made his first NBA field goal, a step-back three-pointer that sent the entire FedEx for him into complete chaos. The Wizards stood frozen as if Kawamura had just pulled off a spectacular performance, a trick of magic. Remember that even though he is shorter than the typical high school student, the Washington defenders appeared to need a team meeting to process what had happened to them. Additionally, even though Kawamura only played 5 minutes, those 5 minutes were enough to make an impact that could leave the Wizards with nightmares for weeks. His box score of 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist with a 33% shooting rate may seem modest, but it's not when you see him cause an entire NBA team to falter and fall apart in a matter of seconds. Possessions, those figures paint a very different picture. Even if their lives depended on it, Washington couldn't keep up with his court vision and quickness, which was heartbreaking. With 155 seconds remaining, Kawamura made the game-winning three-pointer to increase Memphis's advantage to 125-100. At that time, the Wizards' prospects of a spectacular comeback were dashed. The Wizards simply couldn't get it together, not even their defense or whatever that circus performance was, and they were disappearing more quickly than their defensive rotations, collapsed more quickly than a house of cards in a hurricane. It was tragic and hilarious to watch these professional giants fail to contain someone who was nearly a foot shorter than them. James has reportedly been approached by multiple teams for workouts, but he has turned them all down so far. So why am I bringing that up? The night magic number 54. If Campbell three-player wasn't enough to cement the deal, how about his viral pass? Yes, a behind-the-back dish. And let me attempt to remain calm and collected about this. That caused a stir on social media, garnering 300,000 views in less than an hour. It was one of those instances where you had to question whether the Wizards even realized they were playing hoops. Washington's defenders appeared so disoriented that they might have needed a GPS to locate their assignments as they spun around chasing shadows. In his highlight video, Kawamura not only demonstrated his abilities, but also made the Wizards appear like extras. I've said this on TV, and you'll see other people say it as well, but James is the 55th pick in the NBA's second round, and despite his height and defensive presence, the Wizards were still outplayed by a guy who could probably use a stepping stool to reach the top shelf. Kawamura easily cut through them, and the Wizards' rotations were so late you'd think they were stuck in a rut. He walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, so it's not a damn mongoose. Referees are unsure, so we'll call it a jump ball as you see the Y behind the back puff cuts. And let's not forget the dagger that made Kawamura a social media legend. Time Warp was the play that had everyone laughing. A 7-footer tried to challenge him, and Kawamura spun around so quickly that the poor guy ended up guarding nothing but air. It was hilarious to watch Washington try to contain Kawamura. It was like watching someone try to contain Kawamura. It was like watching someone try to catch a greased squirrel. The crowd's response to the three-pointer that left Washington standing there looking defeated was electrifying, and the Wizards' defense was essentially non-existent. It was an instant classic. Let's take a moment to discuss the Memphis fans, who are more than just Kawamura supporters. They are essentially his hype squad, and whenever he checks into a game, we want Yuki to reverberate. Washington's defenders became instant memes, and the Wizards film session the following day was full of head shakes and moans. Everyone's eyes are focused on Kawamura, the spark plug, who is playing basketball all by himself. The Wizards defenders had the best seats in the house to watch the chaos, but they were supposed to be stopping it. The energy at the FedEx Forum is incredible. You would think they were supporting a superstar who had been in the league for years, not a 173-seam force of nature, who has been proving doubters wrong every single day. Due to his size, since scouts believed he would never be able to play in the NBA, Yuki knew he needed to make an impression when he was invited to play for Japan in this year's Olympics, which he did against France. With 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, Yuki placed third in Olympic history behind Kevin Durant and Luo Zhang, who both have more than 255 and 5. The talk about Kawamura isn't limited to Memphis. It's all over the world. He's a story that breaks through the clutter by showcasing young, undersized athletes. Kawamura, who is 5'8", is breaking ankles and shattering stereotypes in a sport where size is frequently valued more highly than anything else. Kids from Tokyo to New York are watching, thinking that if he can do it, maybe I can too. The Wizards, on the other hand, probably wish they had some kind of defense training simulator after witnessing Kawamura do whatever he wanted on the court. Kawamura's impact goes far beyond the stat sheet. Every play, pass, a movie injects a shot of excitement right into the Memphis lineup. The team's tempo changes tactics, and all of a sudden the Grizzlies are a headache to handle. Step back three and take in this. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Yes, Yuki is ecstatic. Kawamura had them dancing to a beat that only he could hear, and the Wizards defenders looked like they were frantically trying to find out how to protect a player who didn't have an instruction manual. It was embarrassing. Were staggering about as if they were backing dancers who had forgotten their routine. But this wasn't an unexpected development. In the B League in Japan, Kawamura's story is legendary. He wasn't just good, he was unstoppable. MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season, scoring 20 points and dishing out 7 assists every game, making the defenders look foolish before he even made it to the NBA. Naturally, scouts were dubious about a 5'8" Japanese celebrity. They likely believed it was an anomaly, but Kawamura stepped up for workouts and completely destroyed anticipations. In Japan, he was not just surviving, but even outperforming tougher players. Kawamura has been earning every minute of playing time, whether with the NBA team or in the G League. His hustle never stops. He's not here to be a feel-good story. He's here to change the narrative. After what the Wizards went through, it's safe to say that Yuki, a brilliant high school player, led his team to back-to-back all-Japanese high school titles. The Memphis Grizzlies signed him to a 2-way contract without hesitation. Kawamura's basketball IQ is a weapon. Plain and simple, his vision and lightning-fast decision-making make him a nightmare to defend. People undoubtedly wish they could wake up from the nightmare he put them through. The Wizards discovered the hard way that their exposure could not be prevented by their height or wingspan. The GZ's style of play is unquestionably influenced by Kawamura. He's making the team faster, smarter, and 1,000 times more dangerous. Meanwhile, the Wizards' defense was left reeling for when Kawamura executed the viral behind-the-back pass. It was like poetry in motion, and the Wizards they got became the night's most popular meme. Breathe undoubtedly wished they had at least arrived with a plan. The Wizards were his first unprepared pupils, and Kawamura is revising the regulations. When Kawamura made his NBA debut on November 88th, 2024. The Wizards could only watch, so credit where credit is due. So credit where credit is due, that day will always be remembered. During those 5 minutes, Kawamura took over, done more damage to the Wizards than some players can do in a whole game. Meanwhile, Washington needs to reflect. Perhaps they will fight harder the next time rather than falling victim to the Yuki Kawamura highlight tour once more.